Last video, pulled the charge pipe off the Mustang, hooked up the laptop, drove the car around for about a day, kind of playing with the tune, learning the computer some more, trying to figure everything out. Got the car running pretty decent, so I went ahead and put the charge pipe back on the car. Pulled out my original boost controller, got that out, just went straight to the gate spring, or straight to the gate, which has about a 3-pound spring in it that I learned. And played around with the tune a little bit more. Now, there's still a lot I need to learn on how to tune this thing, what to look for, how to do it, all that neat stuff. But I will say this car ran much, much better at the end of that video. I was pretty happy with the way it was running. But, you know, like I said, still a lot I need to learn. And what I do need to do is get the new boost controller hooked back up to the car so we can start adding a little bit more pressure to this thing, play with the tune some more, get it running really, really good. But that is not what this video is today. Actually, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over my Bumpbox and Transbrake control. Now, I've already got that actually pretty much wired up in the car, but I do want to go over with all the wiring, how I have it hooked up, where I got it hooked up at. I did try to do a little bit of filming while installing it, but I spent most of my time up underneath the dash and upside down, kind of feet in the air. We've seen those videos. So, kind of hard, but let's see here. So you can see, car is up in the air. I'm going to start with underneath the car right now on going over what it is that we've got going on. And basically what I want to do is just show you how I have the Transbrake solenoid wired up. So let's get up underneath the car here real quick. So for those of you that remember, I have a Broader Performance manual valve body kit and Transbrake installed in this car. So here is our Transbrake solenoid. Whoops, get a little bouncy there. You can see one wire just goes straight to ground. I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter which wire, but just for reasoning, bottom wire, I went straight to the pan bolt here. Now you want to make sure you have a good ground, chassis ground. So otherwise, put that wire to the chassis, or make sure you have a good ground going from the chassis to the engine. You just want to make sure there's a good ground there. And the other wire gets powered up, which is this one here. We'll follow it up. As you can see, I have it tied into a green wire. Now the green wire is because the controller box has a green wire coming off it, so to kind of stay with everything, I went ahead and used a green wire. Purple wire goes to our transmission temp gauge. But other than that, that's what the bottom looks like there. One goes to ground, one gets powered up. Now you actually don't need a transmit or a bump box or this little guy here to control the Transbrake. You can just use a momentary switch with a 12-volt power supply. You just get 12 volts from either a battery or a fuse box. Go to one of the wires on your momentary button, and the other wire goes straight to the other side of the power side of the Transbrake solenoid. And to kind of demonstrate that for you, here's my little green wire right here. I do not have it plugged in. I'm going to use my power probe right here, which will allow me to give the 12-volt power to the side of the solenoid. And like I said, this is for demonstration purposes only. So here's the green wire coming off the Transbrake solenoid. Here's this guy here. Go ahead and touch that. So you can see 0. Now, let's see if you can hear it engage. That is our Transbrake cycling. And that's just basically to show you do not need a controller for it. However, it does make it very nice because, well, you can turn it on and off. I have this guy here wired up to our switch panel up here. And because really I only need the Transbrake and the Bumpbox for racing purposes. So unless I'm up on the line or anything like that, I really don't need it. I can always just shut it off. I can touch the buttons. Nothing will happen. Which is another reason why I say it's nice to have the box. So if you're going to wire your Transbrake solenoid up and without one of these boxes or anything like that, make sure you have the button away from where you can accidentally engage it while you're driving. I'm not going to test that theory out, but I'm pretty sure it's a whole lot of no good will happen if that button gets activated while driving. So make sure that's in a spot you're not going to accidentally activate it or put a switched power so you can only use it when you are racing. But anyways, I'm going to plug that wire back in. I'm also going to go ahead and hop up underneath the dash again real quick, kind of show you what I got going on. So a lot of you remember from one of my previous videos where I had a big wiring mess. As you can see, I still have a little bit of a mess, but some of these are because they get loomed up. This is for the Bumpbox controller. Here we go. Like all these wires will get put in a loom and cleaned up. But I managed to eliminate some wires. Got the ones I'm still using, more room, rolled up and placed in the box. Went ahead and added a bunch of these guys as well to kind of help keep control of some of our other wires that are outside. And if you remember, we hooked up those two guys there when we installed my fuse relay panel. Added a relay because a lot of you may know that it is extremely hard to find multiple key-on powers. So what I've done was just use a relay, use one key-on power, ran power to the relay up into this little guy here. So now that gives me 8 key-on powers, which definitely makes life way simpler. I don't got a bunch of wires twisted together, and I can just go straight from like our switch panel up there now is off a key-on power. If you remember when I first installed that, I just had it hooked straight to power. So when I turn the power onto the car, you can the switches would come on, and the only way to shut them off is you have to turn the power off to the car. So I've gone ahead and fixed all that stuff on there. As you can see, our dome light is on, which means power to the car is on. Go ahead and hop up in the car real quick. Key is off. We have no power to our PCM back there. No lights are on. No power to the handheld, transmission temp gauge, or our boost controller. And our switches are off as well. So come over here. Key is on. See, lights to the PCM are on. Handheld, temp gauge, boost controller, and our switches. Here we got here. Fuel pump, water pump, air compressor. Now this one is our Transbrake bump box. Now I've wired in this little light. That tells me our box is on. And if I come in here, whoop, grab this green wire real quick. Let's see here. This is really difficult, so give me 1 second. Go ahead and plug these guys in. All right, 2 wires are plugged in. That's our Transbrake. And this right here is the bump function. You might be able to hear the relay. Again, really hard to do, but that is the bump relay. So we'll go ahead and shut that guy back off. Box is off. So definitely a really cool little control unit there. Really simple to install and wire up. I will put a link to that in the description. Comes with, he's got regular style instructions as well. But to get everything kind of kicked off and started, he does outline this. Does give you this as well. Makes it really clear on what exactly or how he wants you to wire this thing up. Battery to a switch. Off the switch powers the box up itself. The switch, same switch, powers the buttons. So with this button off, there's no power going to our buttons on the steering wheel, which is really cool. No accidental engagement. when the Transbrake button is activated, and if you have the MSD or the two-step, anything that controls your two-step, that activates your two-step as well. So, but that, like I said, if that switch is off, nothing is activated, which is really cool because I do not need the Transbrake activated to go in reverse, which was a selling point for that whole manual valve body Transbrake kit. So, but yeah, we got everything wired up. That wire is plugged back in. So now I'm going to get the car on the ground, and we're going to take this thing out here and take it for a test drive, kind of feel everything out, see how it reacts. So see you guys here in a second. All right, we are in the car. We got Seth. He's going to do some video for us. Get a little bit of cruising in, test out our Transbrake, our bump box functions, see how that works. Hopefully the transmission holds up. It is a bone stock transmission with a couple of upgrades. Nothing really fancy though. So I'm sure this is going to start showing us more weak points in our transmission. But anyways, let's go have some fun. Alright, so found our first spot. I'm going to go ahead and Seth's going to start videoing for us. We're going to go ahead and check the Transbrake there, make sure it functions. Do a couple times of that, then we'll see how our bump box goes. But ready to do some recording, Seth? Yeah. What do you think? You think it's going to work?
Oh yeah.
Alright, cool. Alright, so see what happens. Turn it on. All right, it's on. Work out all right, but transmission's getting a little warm. Actually, it's not all that bad. It's only like 140. So coolant temp though is starting to get up there. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take her on a quick little cruise, get everything cooled down a little bit. So let's go get some coffee. everything seemed to work. Transbrake worked, Bumpbox worked. Tested it a couple times. Engine tip starting to get a little warm. I didn't want to hammer on it too much. Hi, Bailey. So I didn't want to heat it up too much, so we only tested it a couple times. Took it on a little cruise, let everything cool down. Got ourselves a cup of coffee. Came back, did a couple more tests. Again, everything seemed to work out real well. So I did have a little bit of a lean issue, so I didn't get into it too hard. But during that first one, I'm assuming is when it happened, one of the first tests, it blew the little plug off the back of the throttle body. Matter of fact, let me see. I'll show you. I was like, dang it. But it blew this plug off back here, so I just put a little hose with a bolt in it for right now to seal it up. Everything idle came back down where it's supposed to be, which made me feel a lot better. Idle was a little high. Cruising, it was a little lean. I was like, man, I didn't think I was that far off with the tune. But don't get me wrong, still a lot I need to learn. But I did accomplish what I wanted to accomplish this time around. We got the bump box in, Transbrake works, bump work, everything hooks up. Now, I do wish I was a little more thorough with the installation, but all I basically did was just follow the instructions here. As you can see, it just comes from the battery to a 10 amp fuse, which we're using a 10 amp fuse off our relay panel that we built in a previous video. Goes to the rocker switch that you've seen up on top of the roll bar there. And then from the rocker switch is what powers the box itself and each individual button. Now, we got blue going to the box, yellow going to the box. We have red going to the buttons for the power, and I match the colors going to the box to not be confused. So if I ever take it apart, I know where they go. And of course, you saw green go there. We got the little wires that go to our light to let us know that it is on. Everything works out real well. I will put a link to where I got the company I got the buttons and brackets from. I actually got them from Motion Raceworks. And all I did was run them down underneath, drill 2 holes in our dash there, and use, I'll come over here real quick, just a couple of these little rubber grommets. I actually bought these at our local hardware store, but use those guys there to keep from cutting into the cable. These actually didn't get in the way of driving as much as you would think. You would think maybe that they'd probably bounce off your legs. I've seen some guys where they throw them over the top, but that actually didn't bug me too much at all. I didn't even know they were there. So, like I said, I wish I was in more depth with it, but all I did was basically follow the instructions, find a good spot to locate everything, follow what the guy wrote down on the instructions. Won't go wrong. And like I said in the beginning of the video, you don't really need that to have a Transbrake, but it does make life much, much easier. So, but that's it for this one. Next video we get into this car, I should be able to be in a little more depth because we already did the air compressor install, and I've already got the line running up. See if you guys can see it there. There it is on the ground. Already got the air line run to the top. So basically I just got to pick a spot to mount our air pressure regulator, get the MAC valve and the solenoids installed so we can start plumbing the rest of this stuff in. A bunch of the lines go up on top here, so I'll be able to show you and get to those easy as well. But like I said, that's on the next video, so super excited. Things are starting to work out. And if I ever get this thing dialed in, feels like it wants to leave pretty good. But anyways, I'm ending this video right here. Thank you guys for watching. If you're new and you've made it this far, hit that subscribe button for me. Definitely give me a thumbs up. And yeah, again, thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.